It is the Redhawks Coaches Show, and we are at Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau. And if you did not know, and I found out this morning, it is the 10th anniversary here at Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau. They got going about a year and a half after Jackson, which is 11 and a half years at Jackson, coming up on 3 years for the Dexter location at Wings Etc. So happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Hobbs. They are here. Joe is not the boss. Don't believe the word on the street. I think everybody that is involved understands that. We want to invite you to join us. We are in their brand new banquet room, and if you know where Wings is located, the main entrance, we're just around the corner. Got a few empty seats. Nice crowd has turned out after the Redhawks picked up a big win over Northwestern State. Don't forget, they've got a full menu, over 70 items on the menu that are not their award-winning jumbo wings, and that includes their terrific burger menu. Here at Wings, they have delicious wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, their appetizer lineup, their famous deep-fried pickle chips, their ultimate nachos, and they are massive. And if you're coming for lunch, daily half-pound lunch specials start at just $9.49, and they have teamed with DoorDash. So if you'd like to get that delicious menu delivered, you can do that through DoorDash, or even better, you earn points if you get the Wings Etc. loyalty app. And you accumulate points for all of your orders, and you get better pricing, and DoorDash will deliver it to your front door, or better yet, just come out on game day. Now, today, we've got two baseball games which will decide the final two teams that make the wild card in the National League. That is going to start. That first doubleheader, the Braves and Mets, starts in 10 minutes. You can watch both games here at Wings, and believe it or not, for a second straight week, we have two Monday night football games tonight, and you can watch them here in high definition on the flat screens at Wings Etc., where they're open 7 days a week and late on the weekends, because sometimes the games run late. It's the home of the Coaches Show. Wings Etc., good food and great times. Nasim Caro is here, and we're going to talk with the Redhawks defensive lineman a little bit later on in the show. He is an Edwardsville, Illinois native, and the Redhawks head coach is here. Tom Matukowicz, coming off your latest victory, a shutout win over Northwestern State. How are things, Coach?
Things are good, man. It's good to see that sun today. It's felt like 3 or 4 days since we've seen any of that. But, at the end of the day, really appreciate our support. For a bad weather game, that has to be the best turnout since I've been here. Normally rain will turn them away. And it was a strong showing by our fans, so I appreciate that. Must be. How's the Cardinals doing?
They're out of it.
Okay.
They're done.
I figured that because you'd be hearing a little bit more about it.
They have a press conference at 2 o'clock, Bally Sports. You can watch it at Wings Etc., where they're going to be announcing some sweeping changes within their organization. They're not used to missing the playoffs 2 years in a row, so that's a big topic of conversation. Cardinal fans are on the ledge, Coach.
What time's that, 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Yeah, big press conference for the St. Louis Cardinals. As far as your football team goes, I thought it was fantastic. Jeff Hansa dug up the stat, and, man, he must have had to go back through box scores and schedule results and everything to find the last time that SEMO shut out a Division I opponent at Houck Stadium. It was 30 years ago. It was UT Martin in 1994. That's a nice accomplishment for this defense.
Oh, man, it really is. To pitch a shutout just says a lot about a lot of people. I don't think people realize we are without 4 starters on defense. 4 of those guys that would have been out there or not out there. And
some backups are hurt too, right?
Yeah, so they've done a really good job. I thought Ricky called a good game. Sometimes you get in some of those situations and you press a little bit and, don't close the middle of the field and give up a big play to get a cheap score type thing. And I thought he was really patient and just let the game come to him a little bit and did a nice job. And then I think at the end of the day, you could just tell there's a standard of how we want to play on defense, regardless of the opponent. and there's been a pretty consistent level of energy and preparation and physicality and just things like that. And so these guys are rolling on defense, man. It's fun to watch.
And again, you did it without one of the leaders of your defense, your nose guard, Stephen Lewis. He was out, and you never know how certain guys are going to react when they're taking more snaps, taking more of a role where they're on the field a lot more. Are they going to gel with the guys that they're playing next to? And man, everything was going right. You held them to 120 yards. Now this is a team that scored 23 points against Tulsa. They scored 31 in their narrow loss to Prairie View A&M. So they've shown they can put some points on the board.
Yeah, they got a little skill. I think they only had 40 plays, something crazy like that. And so those are the situations, when you're playing great on third down, they have to punt. They went for it twice on fourth down, and we won both those downs, and so those killed those drives right then. And so, man, just really impressed with those guys.
And they brought in 2 quarterbacks. They were rotating, or actually 3 guys took snaps. I think they lined a tight end up one time and took a direct snap, but they were rotating quarterbacks, and the 2 quarterbacks are totally different. The second guy was pretty much strictly a runner. He did complete some passes, short underneath type stuff.
Right.
But is that more difficult when you got to prepare for 2 different quarterbacks going into the game?
I mean, it kind of depends. Yesterday was fine because we were winning the line of scrimmage, so it doesn't necessarily matter who was there. We were able to pressure the quarterback. We had a couple sacks and several hits, so did a nice job up front.
And as far as your offense went in the game, it had been a really hot offense. You had to run DC Pippen out there 6 times, and I know you'd like to get in the end zone a little bit more than you did, but you got to credit the defense for Northwestern State. They made some plays, especially early in the game. I thought they were really fired up. Now, I thought it got a little over the top when they were acting like they had won the national championship when they knocked down a pass or 2. They were kind of a celebratory defense, but it just seemed like everything wasn't as hot as it was in the SIU game, the UT Martin game offensively, but you certainly had enough to win it.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, other than the offensive production point-wise, it was a great day. Special teams was good, lots of good things going on, and, we were just a little off. I thought Paxton, missed on a couple throws, not for any other reason than sometimes it happens, and then receiver-wise, I think we had 7 drops. It's not like they're bad players. It's not like we can't throw it. We just couldn't that day. And so we got to have a really, really good week this week and get back on track and get those guys rolling. The first couple drives had a couple drop touchdowns. They were in the end zone and dropped them and stuff like that, and that may turn everything around. But you're not going to win against really quality opponents by kicking field goals. I mean, you got to be 2 or 3 every time for touchdowns, that type of thing. And we missed 2 field goals, so that's a concern. We just kind of got to go back to the drawing board, and the answers just get better,
Well, it was DC Pippen kicking 4 of 6 field goals. He was named the Big South OVC Special Teams Player of the Week just a little while ago. And it looked like, this is just us, kind of just paying attention to what's going on. It looked like there was a problem with the snap or the hold on his first miss, and the second miss just looked like he just may have pulled it a little bit to the left.
Yeah, I think that one, the first one he missed, there was a little bit of an off, but it was down in time and good enough that we got to kick that in, and the second one was just a miss hit. So, he's got to go attack it and get after it this week.
All right, your opening possession, you take the ball 9 plays. You had a short field, 37 yards, and the reason you got a short field, boy, Kalani Riddick is playing well, isn't he, in the punt return game?
I don't know what we are. I think we're number 5 in the country in punt returns right now, and Tuke, Kalani has had just some really, really strong returns. Even some of those ones that he caught in traffic and got 8 yards, 10 yards, I mean, that's a first down. So he's doing a really nice job. Coach Drury is our punt return coach and has a really good scheme each week. And some of those guys that are blocking for him, no one knows. It's like one of their only units. They get out there and they get fired up to go make a play for their team.
So he had a 43-yard punt return to set up this opening touchdown, and that's hard to do. If you just go start pulling box scores, you see some big kick returns. Mm-hmm. You don't see as many big punt returns because teams usually can get down there, and it kind of, if you've got a punter that can really air it out and give it a lot of hang time. So, the big punt returns, you don't see them as much anymore. That was a really good play.
Like us, we've only had 2 returns on the whole year for 10 total yards.
You're going to give Tennessee Whiskey a little credit here? Or?
Yeah, he's so bad it doesn't even go far enough to get returned.
All right. Well, we gave him an opportunity. Logan Leftrick, who's having a really nice year. One of those scenarios where you don't notice, I guess, the punter as much unless something goes wrong. Is that a fair statement for a punter?
Yeah, and we only had 1 punt. You say, well, we only had 19, I don't know, what did we have, 19 points? But we only punted once. I mean, it wasn't because we weren't moving the ball. It was just because we couldn't finish drives.
So it was the 25th birthday for Daryl Smith, and I had that highlighted to use on the broadcast. Didn't know how much playing time he was going to get. I mean, he's moved up to number 2 on the depth chart. Brandon Epton, suffered an arm injury, hand injury with that auto accident. You detailed that. That moved Peyton Brown up to the starter, and he was the freshman of the week in the Big South OVC with his 124 yards and a touchdown against SIU. So we didn't really know how much Daryl Smith was going to play. And then in the first half, there goes Peyton Brown limping out of the game, and it was up to the birthday boy, Daryl Smith. He's got to be the oldest guy on the team, right? 25?
Yeah, 25 is pretty old. All these rules change where you get to play 27 years. But it's hard to do, because he would like to be the starter, obviously, right? And he's a good player. But, those guys were ahead of him, but he didn't pout. He didn't, transfer, all that type of stuff. He's patient, bought in his role. He loves his teammates here and made a play for him.
And you got to remember, it's not his first year as a Redhawk. He's been here for 3 years. Yeah. 2 years ago, he had a 56-yard touchdown run against Tennessee State. Last year, probably would have seen a little more playing time. 4 games into the season, shoulder injury. He's out for the rest of the year, so he's had some bad luck. Yeah. And now he gets his opportunity, and he carries the ball 31 times for 127 yards. How about his performance?
No, great job by him. Only had like 1 MA. I mean, just a really, really good game. He had the one that could have been a fumble. He caught, and then they stripped him a little bit. So
I think it was the right call. I couldn't believe that they weren't immediately going to go to the replay on that. We ran it back on ESPN Play. He just never had it. I mean, the guy poked it out before he could establish anything.
Yeah, but and our ball carriers need to be able to continue to build skill catching a football. They're good players when they get the ball in their hands out in the perimeter and stuff like that. And so we weren't great that way. So we needed to continue to work on that.
I'm not saying that Peyton Brown doesn't have any shiftiness to his game. He's more of a power guy. But Daryl Smith has a lot of wiggle in his game.
Yeah, he's got a great gear, got good vision, good balance. Just all around a really good back. And we played quite a few in there. Cole Rubel got in,
right.
Had a nice run to finish the game off in a 4-minute drive. Blocked really well for his teammates. So when you're down to the 3rd or 4th guy, you would think there'd be a pretty good drop off there, but there really wasn't.
So your first touchdown of the day came on the first drive. We mentioned you had the short field, but you take it down 9 plays, get in the end zone, and I don't know what play you ran, but Cam Pedro was wide open in the end zone. I mean, that was a great play. I mean, they did a good job, I thought, at times in spots where they needed to, defending your receivers, but that time Cam Pedro just found a spot, and he was open, and DeLaurent hit him.
Yeah, great way to start it. Obviously it was a good scheme. Jeremy had a good plan down the red zone. They executed, and you kind of hit it on the head. Their plan was they were going to play man-free and really try to be physical, and the officials let them. That's the other part. You got to have a group that's going to let you play like that, and they kind of let them be physical with our guys, and I didn't like how I thought our receivers could have played a lot more physical, and so we're going to work on those contested catches and getting open and all those type of stuff this week.
So in the game, 5 tackles for losses by that defense was pitched a shutout. We haven't talked a lot about Jalen Stone on this show, Coach, but he had a sack, he had 5 tackles, and he had 2 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. How about the game Jalen Stone had?
Yes, his best outing. We do a production chart every week, and he was our most productive player of the whole game. Just really active in the backfield. He's getting better fundamentally. He's always been a good player. He played as a true freshman last year. You don't do that unless you're pretty solid in the D-line. But fundamentally, he wasn't there, so Coach Kuhn's done a good job with him, and he's being led well by Nassim and Stephen Lewis and some of those guys. So future's bright for him if he continues to, work on his craft.
We'll talk with Nassim Caro coming up in just a little bit. He has been super productive on that defensive line. Going into the game, one of the storylines was you've got 2 former Demons on your team, including Jared Pedraza, who we have had on this show, and he leads you in tackles in the game with 6. Guys can get motivated by lots of different things. I'm sure part of his motivation in this game, I'm playing against my former schools, some of my former teammates. He had a terrific game.
Yeah, that's human nature, obviously. You want to show well, but he's mature enough that he just wants to play well and get the win, and he did that. And he's really, put on some pretty good film, and I don't think people realize he gets half the reps. So him and Malai flip series, and so he's making that kind of production without getting all the reps.
And Malai Walton, tackle behind the line of scrimmage. He finished with 4 tackles, man. When you talk, it's kind of a cliche sometimes when you talk about defensive players flying around. Mm-hmm. Malai Walton literally flies around on the football field.
Yeah, he's having a great year, man. It's fun to watch him play. But it's guys like Nassim. I've been here 11 years, and I'm sure you'll notice that we have a lot of linebackers do well, right? But it's really a lot because of the D-line. So they keep a lot of those guys off, and those guys can just stay behind them and run and make plays, but they're not getting blocked because those D linemen are eating up a lot of those double teams.
Yeah, if you'd ever watched the Baltimore Ravens defense when they were winning Super Bowls and they had Ray Lewis as one of the great middle linebackers of all time. One thing, Lewis got a lot of the accolades, and he should. He's a Hall of Famer and was just a disruptor on defense. They had a massive defensive line which would occupy things and allow those linebackers to do it. You can have great linebackers, but if you don't have good defensive line play, how much more of a challenge is it?
Oh, yeah, totally. They'll have O-line up in their lap, and then it's pretty hard to make plays, So it's a team sport just like anything, You're only as good as those guys blocking for you or those guys taking on blocks up front.
Bryce Norman again gets another tackle behind the line of scrimmage. I think he's up to 9th or 8th. Let me double check this. He came into the game, I think, 9th. He's closing in on number 7 all-time tackles in the history of SEMO. He's closing in on Angel Rubio, who had 330 total tackles, and Angel Rubio played in the NFL. He was a defensive lineman, and he was a stud.
He's still big.
Have you met him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Met him. He's a great Redhawk, and he's a proud supporter, and he follows us up there from St. Louis.
He was here even before Billings. He was a John Mumford guy, Angel Rubio.
Yeah.
So with closing in, on number 7 all-time tackles, I mean, he's starting to hit rarefied air now, Bryce Norman.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just been a fun 4 years, and it's hard to believe it's getting to the end, and he's Mr. Consistent. I mean, he doesn't have too many bad days. He's had one at UT Martin, but other than that, he's had just some outstanding games. He's a great teammate, just really productive. I know we haven't won the turnover margin the last 2 games, and he dropped the pick that he could have made this week. So we're working really hard to get him one of those those pick sixes. So.
We mentioned Kalani Riddick and what he's doing in the punt return game. Well, he is your second leading tackler on the team. I know you don't always want a defensive back to be, you don't want defensive backs to be your top 3 tacklers.
Right.
That means there's a lot of second-level entry by the opposing offense. But Kalani Riddick doing a really nice job defensively.
Yeah, we're scheme-wise, we've changed a little bit, and so he's in the fit some. So some of that scheme, but he's done a nice job, really short tackling, really having a great year.
How about Nassim Caro, Coach? What does he mean to this team? This is his 3rd year. I think he's played in 25 games as a Redhawk. Hasn't started all of those games, but he's played in 25 games. 3 years here from Edwardsville. He played a lot of football as a freshman.
Yeah.
That's hard to do at Division I, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and he's an undersized guy. He's kind of the just a guy that you pull for, kind of the underdog. Came in as a true freshman and has always been able to make plays. We've been on him about his weight and getting stronger and all those type of things, but he's just a playmaker. But I'll tell you, I think the thing that he doesn't get enough credit for is he's really kind of an igniter. I don't know if you saw all the energy at North Al, a lot of those plays and stuff like that. I mean, it's coming from Nassim. Like, he talks more trash, and I've had to kick him out of practice probably 75 times. He has got a motor that runs all day long, and really, it's contagious. Energy is contagious, and I really appreciate him for that. We had a unique recruiting story. So we offered him. He came down to camp, and Coach Williams really liked him. We offered him in June. All right. Well, it's like October, and he still hasn't committed. All right. So he calls the D-line coach, said he wants to commit, and I said, no, I don't want him now. If you don't want me in July, then I don't want your ass in October. And so I don't know. Maybe a week later, we were on the phone call with his mom and everybody, and I finally got over my feelings being hurt, and ended up taking him, and the rest is history now.
Edwardsville High School, where he plays, I think they're an 8A Illinois program.
Yeah, they're good.
It's a big school. They've got. I think they've got 2,400 students. That is a big – you may not think of Edwardsville as being a really big town and big high school. It's not a really big town, but it is a big high school. I mean, they've produced some pretty good football players.
There's been Division I signee, I think, every year out of that program. So we've had a couple, and they've all played well and done a good job here.
All right. And so when you did get on the phone with he and his family, how did that conversation go?
It was good. I think we just aired out all of our laundry and talked about where things are at, and then we kind of just recommitted, and the rest is kind of history. His D-line coach loved him the whole time, but I thought he was being soft, and I didn't think he wanted to be a Redhawk. That's ultimately what bothered me, but I think I was wrong.
All right. You heard it. Coach Tuke admitted that he was wrong.
I said maybe.
Oh, maybe. I understand.
Don't be putting words. I know how you guys, twist stuff around. So just make sure you get it correct.
We're the kings at putting words into people's mouths.
Exactly.
I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. I'll admit that. We will talk it over. Nassim Caro is here. We will, first of all, find out what he had for lunch, man. Whatever it was, it's gone. And we'll ask him about it when we come back. 10-year anniversary at Wings, Etc. in Cape. It's the Redhawks Coaches Show. Don't forget, Redhawks are at Eastern Illinois this Saturday. That is a 2 o'clock kickoff at O'Brien Field in Charleston, Illinois. Nassim Caro joins us next on the Redhawks Coaches Show on SEMO. ESPN. Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Cape. Don't forget, it is the 10th anniversary here at Wings. Joe Hobbs is making the entire menu 50% off for this anniversary. Oh, wait, no. We don't. I wanted to see the reaction from our resident New England Patriots fan. Yeah, sorry, it's kind of a down time to be a Patriots fan, but an up time to be a customer at Wings Etc. And did you know that we've got two basically playoff baseball games today? It's a doubleheader in Atlanta between the Mets and the Braves. You got three teams, the Braves, the Mets, the Diamondbacks, all trying to get those final two wild card spots. So these are very key games. The baseball playoffs start tomorrow with 4 wild card games. You can watch it all in high definition here at Wings, and you can transition straight from the baseball to Monday night football games, so you can make an entire afternoon and evening here at Wings, etc. If you can't make it, if you're going to be watching at your home or you've got some sort of a watch party with the family or friends, then did you know that Wings Etc. has partnered with DoorDash? If you want to get it delivered, you can do that. The easiest way to do it is through the Wings Etc. loyalty app. That way, every purchase you make, you get points. You get better pricing than if you go through the DoorDash app. But you've got 2 avenues if you'd like to get it delivered. It is the best menu in town. It is Wings Etc. Good food, great time, and home of the Redhawks Coaches Show. Nasim Caro is here.
Yes, sir.
And so there is a town over in Egypt called Cairo.
Yeah.
How many times do people mispronounce your name and say Cairo?
That's the funny thing. Everyone says my name wrong. It is Cairo.
It is Cairo.
It is Cairo.
Well,
Yeah.
we've got it now.
Yeah.
So just like now the town over in Illinois.
Yeah, everybody gets
That's
wrong
Cairo.
because they think it's Cairo. It's Cairo.
We won't make that mistake again. But
It's okay.
Nasim, have you ever run across another Nasim in your travels?
No, not really. I mean, I used to live overseas, so I met a person with the same name like once or twice, but not since I've been here. No.
So where did you live overseas?
I lived in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam.
All right.
Yeah.
David Idata for the basketball team is from the Netherlands. Have you guys crossed paths?
I met him like once, but I don't think he knows that I'm from the Netherlands. Like, I used to stay there.
All right. Next time you see him, you can't miss him. He's 7 feet tall, so you might want to get a little Netherlands conversation going. So your hometown is Edwardsville, Illinois. What's Edwardsville like?
Big town vibe. You know, a lot of people don't know Edwardsville. They never heard of it, but, you know, it's a lot that goes on there. You know, a lot of good programs, great town, you know, safe, you know, have a lot of stuff going on there. But, you know, I stayed there grew up there for 11 years before I left to go live overseas, and then I loved it so much, and I wanted to come back and play football for Edwardsville program because I knew, you know, they produced players and just had a really good coaching staff. So I decided to come back when I was 15 and do my rest of my high school years there.
So I'm pretty familiar with Edwardsville and their football program. Jackson has played them 3 years in a row, and I'm sure you have reminded Bryce Norman that Jackson is 0-3 against Edwardsville.
I mean, I tell it was Logan Bruns, Bryce Norman, anybody from Jackson. We run it. It's, you know, it's just y'all can't mess with us. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know, I tell them, like, you know, Jackson is known for being good. You know, y'all had undefeated season, but to the Tigers, y'all can't match up.
All right, so that is in Edwardsville, Illinois, the Edwardsville Tigers. And as I was talking with Coach Tuke, that's a big school. That's an enrollment of 2,400. I mean, there are a lot of students at Edwardsville High School. Yeah,
that's funny. It used to be closer to 3,000 when I was there. You have a lot of, like, small parts around Edwardsville that also come to the school, so it's a very big school, you know, and it's a lot going on there. And, that's why we're AA, the biggest class in Illinois.
I didn't know much about Edwardsville before SIU Edwardsville joined the Ohio Valley Conference. So we go there in basketball and in baseball. At least those are the sports that I follow. But they do not have football at SIU. Now, when you played for the Edwardsville Tigers, anybody that was watching the Sunday night football game last night between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, A.J. Epineza is a starting linebacker for the Buffalo Bills, and he is from Edwardsville, Illinois, and was a former Edwardsville Tiger. How about that, and how good was that guy at Edwardsville?
Yeah, he was a big guy that, we heard about a lot from our head coach, Coach Martin. He coached him through all his years, and he just talked about his work ethic and, how good of a player he was. And, he was certain ranked in the country. So, and especially for me, being a D-line guy, Coach Martin told me a lot about him and what he did for the program and what I could do for the program, just like him.
So Epineza has a couple of brothers, and one of them is playing now. He's 270 pounds.
Yeah.
He plays tight end and D-line. Iosa, is it? Yosei. Okay, Yosei Epineza, and he is already committed to go to the University of Iowa, and that's where his older brother played.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the family, I think, because I think their dad, the brother, I think the sister, I think everybody went to Iowa. So I think I wasn't surprised that he chose Iowa, honestly. He's a great player. I seen him only for a year. Because freshman year he did start and play varsity. He started on the tight end side, so because we had a really strong D-line that year, all seniors, so he didn't play a lot of D-line, but I helped him a lot with D-line, and, we went against each other a lot in practice.
All right, so a guy that you have played with and mentored a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Yosei, do you know, is Iowa looking at him as a defensive player?
Yeah, for sure. He's a natural defensive player. He didn't like playing tight end, but he had to for the team. But he's just naturally aggressive and just a bully, so they liked him at defense.
Yeah, the word on the street, Iowa doesn't play offense, but they are really good on defense. Yeah, the Hawkeyes aren't the best offensive team, but boy, their defense is great. Kirk Ferentz has really put together a terrific program there. So tell us about that recruiting story that Coach Tuke said they wanted you here, and they kind of felt like you were big leaguing them.
It wasn't even like that. I swear, it was nothing like that. And through my recruiting process, SEMO was always a school that I thought about, and I was very close with Coach Juice, who the one that was recruiting me. At the time, it was between another school and SEMO, and I had to take some tests to see if I could go to a certain school. So I didn't know until later in the year that I couldn't go to the other school. But SEMO was always between them schools. So when I wanted to choose SEMO, I was too late. And I was, it was over with. So I was hurt, and I really still wanted to go there. So I knew a player named Jacob Morrissey. He came from Edwardsville to play linebacker here, great player. I told him, hey, bro, I want to be here. I want to be a Redhawk. If you can do it, tell him, they give me back anything. I'll come there. And he talked to Coach Tuke, and he really put, his name on the line for me, which I really appreciate, and so we'll say thank you to this day. And I got, they called me and they wanted me back.
What's Jacob Morrissey up to these days?
I think he's working in construction management or something like that now. Yeah, he's going further in his life and making good steps.
Morrissey was another one of those high energy guys. How did you have you always been high energy?
Yeah, I'm known as a loud person and just high energy. Always want to be loud and social and. I just always been that type of guy. Freshman year, I was getting kicked out of practice. Same sophomore and junior year it got better because I'm older now and I'm more of a leader on the team, so I can't always just be mean guy. But yeah, it's always been that type of way.
So I think you have 6 career sacks as a Redhawk, and I'm sure you'll have some more by the end of this season.
For sure.
But you had a game in high school against Alton.
Yeah.
Where you had 4 sacks in one game. What was that like? I think you had 5 sacks for the season, and 4 of them came against Alton.
Yeah, I always had a good game against play. I don't know what it was, but like every year I just always dominated them type of games. And then it was a homecoming game, great environment, and the O-line was trash. Like they just couldn't block me the whole day. Like I told him, like, Coach, I don't want to go at the game because like they just can't block me. And he was like, so you can stay in the whole game. So he let me stay in the whole game. Probably shouldn't because it wasn't fun for them. But and the quarterback didn't like me either. I was talking all day to him. But yeah, it was like that was the best, most like productive game I ever had in my high school career.
How much smack talking goes on that line of scrimmage?
Ooh, yeah.
I'm talking opposing team, Redhawk players, Nassim Cairo.
Is it something that Coach Tuke tells you, let your actions speak first? I'm not just a guy that's going to run my mouth if I'm not playing well, but how hard and how aggressive and how passionate I play, I have to talk. And I got to, talk my smack. So if I'm working you, you can't block me all day, you're going to be known. You're going to hear it. And practice, other teams, I don't play anybody. This is how we play. Off the field, we can be friends. On the field, I'm not a friendly guy.
So late in the game is decided. It's clear that you are going to shut them out. SEMO is on offense. And there's a play on SEMO's sideline late in the fourth quarter where a couple of their defensive players got over there, and they get up and they're jaw-jacking, and there's a lot of talking going on. And I saw several Redhawk players on the sideline just pointing at the scoreboard.
Yep.
Just pointing at the scoreboard. To me, that's the ultimate end the conversation scoreboard, right?
Yeah, scoreboard. Yeah, it was, it was a great game, and a lot of people were saying that some of the energy was going on around the game because, it was rain and, the offense wasn't scoring as much, but the defense still had a great game, and we had to, just keep playing, and I'm very proud of how our defense played, and I'm very proud of how Coach Kuhn called the game. But, it was a great game, and I'm glad, that we know that we have room to improve, but that we still played a good game.
How much pride does a defense take? Like, okay, you're deep into a shutout,
right,
and nobody wants to give up a cheap touchdown. And how much do you guys buckle down and say, we're going to get this shutout?
Yeah, I said we said it before the game, we said it during the game, and we said it in the fourth quarter. They're not going to score today because we knew what type of players we had, and we knew, and Coach Kuhn told us, like, if we do our job, then they're not going to get nothing. And we were doing our job consistently. As Coach Tuke just said, they only had like 40 or some plays, like the least amount of plays I've ever seen playing a college game. So I was just very proud of how we played, but it means a lot to shut them out and show how good our defense really is.
How about some of those guys that you play with on the defensive line? I know you missed Stephen Lewis, but Sam Keeper, and we were talking a little bit earlier about how well Jalen Stone played in the football game.
No, I'm very proud of them guys, how they stepped up. Due to Steve, Chesley going out due to injury, Jalen Stone, he's one of my one of my best friends, and I told him, it was funny because the job before the play, he got a sack. I was like, don't rush it. Like, just let it happen. Like, we're playing good. We're doing a job. It's just one of them type of games where we're doing a job. And if you don't make the play you want, because, we want a lot of sacks in the D-tackle room, in the D-line room. But sometimes when you go chase for a sack, you don't necessarily get it. So I said, just keep doing your job and let it come. And then literally the next couple of plays he had it. So I was very proud of him. And this is a big game he wanted to have, and he played really well. Sam Keeper is another guy that's getting a lot more snaps now and a better opportunity, and he's making of it, and I'm really proud of them guys.
Jakias Brown as well, a guy that you're playing next to?
No, Jakias Brown, fellow guy from Illinois. Last year he didn't take him any snaps really, and he's gotten a lot better in the spring. And I told him, like, Jakias, you're one of the strongest guys we have in the room, and he's starting to play like that and showing like why he deserves to play.
So he's from Centralia. Did Edwardsville ever play Centralia? Centralia's a smaller school.
We would have whipped them. Yeah, ain't with no competition.
I love the name of their, Edwardsville is the Tigers.
Right.
Centralia is the Orphans.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it doesn't strike fear in you.
Nah. I asked him about it. He didn't really have anything to say. He said that's the name of the school.
So 55 is not a number I think a lot of people think about when they think about a defensive lineman. How did 55 come about?
It's funny because I had 58 in high school. That was my number. Then I came here and I had like 96, and we had like a pre-scrimmage, and I had the jersey on and it looked like a dress because I was like as Coach Tuke said, I was undersized. When I first came here, I was 230. 6'2", 230. And Coach Tuke looked at me like, you're not going to play outside linebacker, so you better bulk up. So I got to like 240, 250 range before my freshman season, and like the jersey was a dress. When he told me I was going to play, so they told me like, just give me any other type of number that's going to at least fit me. And so first game day, I didn't know what jersey I was going to have. I was just like, I'm going to walk in there, hopefully it's not 96, and they gave me 55. So I've been running with it ever since.
All right, 55. How much of a shock to your system was it when you got here and they said, man, you got to put on some weight, you got to start eating, you got to eat nonstop? Yeah. You talked to the strength and conditioning coach and nutritionists, and that's all new stuff probably from what you had in high school.
Yeah, it's funny, like in high school I was a bigger guy and I was like 270, 280, 260, but like every season I lost weight, and then like right before I came to college I lost a lot of weight. So when I got here I kind of already knew like I'm going to have to eat, but it was a game changer on how much they wanted me to eat and how much I had to do, and how they showed me like eating is just about being consistent and how much you want it. And like I didn't understand it as my freshman, like if you care about your weight, you're going to take care of your weight. And as me, I was just like, my body don't want to keep this weight, it's not my fault. But they didn't care about, they was like, Sam, if you want to take care of your weight, you're going to eat. So last off season, I really took care of that and was really trying to get my weight up, and I think it was really important because I knew I could be a different type of guy in the D-line and help my team and be good, but I had to gain some weight. So,
all right, yeah. We know that you have already eaten today here at Wings, and so we need to find out just exactly what was on Nassim Cairo's menu this afternoon.
I had 15 traditional wings, and I had the sweet chili, and then half hummin' hot honey flavor.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Hobbs saying yes, yes. He gives it a thumbs up. All right, we go to Eastern Illinois on Saturday.
Yes,
back into conference play. No more non-conference games. You are 1-0, and so it'll be Eastern Illinois this Saturday. What's the mindset of the football team? And I got to think the defense is feeling pretty good about itself after posting a shutout.
Yeah, just going in the same week with the same mentality that we have been every other week and how we win games. We don't want to go too high or too low. We know that we have to improve and we have to work, and just because maybe EIU just had an upset with Lindenwood doesn't mean we're going to take our focus off of them. It's all but at the end of the day, it's always about us and how we're going to prepare for EIU. And I think we're going to go through this week with a great mindset of fix the little things that hurt us in the last game, and as a defense, the same type of timing that we were through the week, and keep playing well.
Well, the people that voted on those preseason polls, they voted UT Martin number one. Mm-hmm. You beat them. You proved they're not the best team.
Right.
Eastern Illinois was voted number 2. So the people that vote thought that Eastern Illinois was better than SEMO.
Yeah, we weren't really focused about the numbers and the polls before the season because, we knew what talent we had, and, unfortunately how last year happened, a lot of people forgot and didn't think about us anymore, but it was like, it's okay. We've been working in the spring, so you're going to see. And now we're proving it to everybody, and we still not focused on the polls. We're just focused on the opponent every week.
All right. Now, the national polls, the coaches poll, SEMO moved up number 1 to number 13, and they stayed at number 13 in the FCS media poll. But I know guys have to take pride, I would think. I'm not going to speak for you,
right.
But do you take pride in looking at the national polls and seeing, hey, everybody in the country that's voting thinks we're a top 15 team in the country?
Right. I'm very happy that we're ranked, and and my freshman year we were ranked and we had a really good team. So I'm very happy, but I'm not just looking at the polls at the end of the day, because like for instance, SIU was ranked number 7, and we're ranked number 21, and we seen how that game goes. So like to me, it doesn't really mean anything. And, you know, I just see it as, you know, they know we're good, but we still have to beat other people.
Nice crowd at Hawk Stadium on Saturday, especially the student section. How much energy does the team get when the student section is big and loud like it was on Saturday?
It helps us so much. You know, we need a big student section to give us energy, cheer when we score, cheer when we have stops, you know. And you see it comes through us, you know, like, for instance, last game, the rain hurt our energy a lot, but there was still a student section and still a band that helped us, you know, cheers on and all that. So it's very thoughtful and very thankful of the student section.
All right, we'll be in the home of Tony Romo, Charleston, Illinois, on Saturday, 2 o'clock kickoff. Nasim, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Best of luck Saturday, and stay healthy.
Thank you so much.
All right, Nasim Cairo. Coach Tuke going to rejoin us. The Eastern Illinois Panthers are on the schedule. 2 o'clock game on Saturday. We'll talk that over with Coach Tuke when we come back. It's the Redhawks Coaches Show live from Wings, where they're celebrating their 10th anniversary here in Cape Girardeau on SEMO ESPN. Final segment here with Coach Tom Tukowicz as we get ready for the big game at Eastern Illinois. And, Coach, it will be a 2 o'clock kickoff. You just had a 3 o'clock kickoff. Now we move it up an hour. Kind of an odd start time, 2 o'clock, but I know you love the afternoon start times. Tell us why you love the afternoon starts.
Because I'm old, and I get up same time every day around 5, so the closer to me getting up, the fresher I am. Instead of these 6 o'clock games are rough, but, you know, obviously I don't care, and I don't even ask, and I have nothing to do with the game times. You know, they are what they are. We started traveling same day. I don't know what it was, maybe 3 years ago. EIU, Tennessee State, UT Martin, all those teams we travel same day of, and so those are the concerns, because you start your day pretty early, get on a bus, drive up there, kind of like a high school situation, then you get off and play. But we've played okay the last couple of years up there doing the same day travel, and you know, we just need a great week of prep. They're well coached. They were up 17-0 and ended up dropping a football game. So I think we'll get a pretty, probably mad football team. I think they'll probably be upset at that game and try to take it out on us. And what better way to get it back on track than beat a top 15 team or whatever we are.
So Pierce Holly is their quarterback, and I think most people going into the season thought it's Paxton DeLaurent at SEMO, Kincaid Den of UT Martin, and then Pierce Holly. Eastern Illinois is the top 3 quarterbacks, and that's kind of how the preseason poll went. The 3 teams with the best quarterbacks. Even though Eastern lost in that game, he threw for over 300 yards. This is a really quality quarterback. Last year, it was a good game between you and EIU, 35-28. You beat him by a touchdown.
Yeah, no, I think he was the preseason offensive player of the year, if I remember right. So he's a great player, and we're going to have to do a great job. We're down 3 DBs, or 4 DBs, and so it's at some point you just hope that doesn't show up to hurt us. So we got to make sure that these young guys are ready for their opportunity.
I'll ask you, Peyton Brown sounds like maybe a game time decision with the ankle.
Yep.
All right, and as far as running the football for EIU, now your run defense was really good on Saturday. MJ Flowers ran for over 120 yards, even though they lost. They had a 300-yard passer. They had a 100-yard rusher. And they didn't turn the football over. That's not how Lindenwood came back and beat them. They've got some weapons on offense. They can run the football. Yeah,
got a lot of guys back. I think 3 or 4 of the O-linemen played against us last year, and they're better this year. So, they got our attention. Our team's going to be excited to start conference play, and get after it.
So I don't know a lot of people know this. I'm sure some people do. The history and the football legacy at Eastern Illinois University. Obviously, Tony Romo played there. Jimmy Garoppolo played there. But at one point, at one point in the National Football League, Eastern Illinois had 3 alums as head coaches in the National Football League at the same time. Sean Payton, who is the head coach of the Denver Broncos, won a Super Bowl with New Orleans. Mike Shanahan, who won 2 Super Bowls with John Elway in Denver. And then Brad Childress was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings for several years. A school that size, 3 alums as head football coaches in the National Football League. I mean, football is a legacy at this school.
Yeah, and they were the SEMO. When I first got there, they were SEMO. I mean, they were nationally ranked. They were going to the playoffs. They beat us like a drum several times. I remember.
That's when Dino Babers was there. He won back-to-back championships.
Yeah, and then they went to the playoffs with the next guy. And then they were nationally ranked, and we beat them that year. And I don't think we've lost to them since. But, they are an up-and-coming program because of their history.
And also, I was telling you during the commercial break, the reason that we're going there on Saturday and you're playing on turf was because SEMO and Eastern Illinois destroyed their field when they played on natural grass. I mean, they played in a monsoon Tony Romo's sophomore year at Eastern Illinois. It was grass. I mean, when the rain was coming down sideways, they chewed up the field, 40-mile-an-hour winds. It never stopped pouring. And the only game in Tony Romo's 4-year career, he didn't throw a pass. They just ran the ball, and I think they beat SEMO like 21-7. And the field was unplayable going forward, and they had to put turf down. So
that's interesting. Another interesting stat is my wife told me that's the only job I could never take.
Is Eastern Illinois?
So evidently she hates Charleston. So I don't know what her. I could live anywhere, and coach football, but it's crazy to think back through their program and all the wins and all the championships and the great players and coaches that have been there.
Bob Spoo, man, he won a lot of championships when he was there.
Yeah, so it's an honor to get to play against them and look forward to it.
And a Charleston, Illinois trivia note: the very first Jimmy John's ever. Charleston, Illinois. It's still there. It's a different building now. They've rebuilt it and everything. But the very first Jimmy John's was established in Charleston. It is still, there are hundreds and hundreds of Jimmy John's. It is store number 1.
Well, if that's all they got, that's why Lena didn't want to live there.
That's it. Sounds like that's a big reason. All right, so keys to going on the road here and beating Eastern Illinois on Saturday.
I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about our turnover margin and our penalties. That'll be our key to the victory. We lost the turnover margin in the last 2 games, which is unacceptable. And so we got to create more takeaways for sure. And then we got to stop the penalties. We're just, we're heavily penalized, and it's everything. And it has a lot to do with coaching. So we're just, haven't done a good enough job. For whatever reason, we just have not been able to take that off the film yet.
And you said in your tenure as a head coach, this is the most injured roster you have ever had. Yeah. Do you think you're getting anybody back?
Trying to think. We might see Jalen Nettles.
All right, you're right tackle.
So our right tackle at the start of the year broke his ankle at Mexico State. He came out of his boot, and so this will be the first time he'll move around a little bit. So he might be available.
And that would be big. I know going into the season, when we were kind of previewing the year, you said, I think right now he may be playing as well as any lineman we have.
Yeah. He's big, he's athletic, he's good. He's just, the hard part now is he hadn't had the reps, because he got hurt early in the season. So, we got to get him back, in shape and playing well. But he's certainly a guy that I would think's an all-conference type of lineman. So it'd be great to have him back if we can. I'm not saying he will be back.
Well, let's hope some Redhawk fans make the trip 3.5 hours to Charleston, Illinois, 2 o'clock kickoff. Coach, we'll talk to you then. Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it. That is the Redhawks head coach, Tom Tuke. Thanks to Nassim Cairo. Appreciate that.